Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Listen Carefully. I am your host, Jen, and I have been waiting for the spring equinox to launch into this new energetic year. And of course, we never have to wait for a specific day to have permission to hit that reset button. But because the new life is upon us, it gives us a really great launching pad for deciding that we are ready for what is to come, to liberate ourselves from the patterns that we have been in that may no longer be serving us. So I want you to start, as you listen in and tune in today, by just remembering and noticing and seeing if there is any frustration, or seeing if there's anywhere in your system that feels like it could be better serving to clear or to let go. And the beauty of letting go is we never have to quite actually know what it is that we're letting go of, but we can just set our intention to the letting go for the letting go to occur. It makes me think of a song that says, you don't have to know the way knows the way. You don't have to plan the way, just trust the way, feel your way. The way knows, the way knows, the way knows the way. And so when we get out of the way that already knows, that is here to inform us and show us and teach us and grow us, when we get out of the way knows the way, the same way our children know the way. But because they're in these places of growing and changing, they need us to guide their way of knowing. And so this is this idea that the future informs the present, if that makes any sense. And if it doesn't, just let it tickle your mind, your heart, and just be with it. So we're going to start today with some halo breaths, which is breathing in the nose and out the mouth. And feel free to go at your own pace. When we clear out the space, imagine you're cleaning out an attic or an old closet. Spring cleaning is here, right? So imagine when you're taking everything out, you are making room, you are creating space. And as you're breathing these cycles of breath, just reflect upon what it is that your relationship to space, to room is. What is your relationship to space like? Is it uncomfortable? Is it unknown? Is it freedom? Is it light? When I turned my head, I just saw my kitchen like in a whole different light. I have never seen it this way before, right? Just like allowing the energy to lead you to the brand new moment, because you are the infinite possibility. Just because every single moment that's happened so far has led you here means everything and means nothing, in the sense that all of those moments that arrived you here will not be taking you to the next place or even the next breath. And so when we create our breath on purpose, when we create the spaciousness within our system, we create that space, which could also be standing for awareness. We create the awareness for the new to be born. And so if we're living our lives in these cycles, we could think of a cycle as month to month. It's too bad we don't have 13 months in the year, because then we could really live out that cycle in sync with the moon cycle, right? If every 28 days, if we aligned our calendar with our moon, I think that could be really cool and powerful, because, it changes every 28 days. That's a lot of change, always, constantly, right? And so we can either choose change, we can either say, hey, I'm here for it, or we can resist it. And quite often, some of the time, we are actually taught through modeling to resist it, only because that's just the known. If we hold on to what is, then we get to know. But how much more amazing will life be when we don't know? If we can let ourselves create that spacious safety, security, connection, then we know where we're going, because we don't have to know what that will look like to how to get there, but we will know where it is we're headed. So today is all about welcoming in the new. Not only is every breath brand new, but we are embarking on a new season. We are embarking on new relationships, new connections, new contracts, new agreements, new ways of working with each other, different ways of upgrading our being. And what a beautiful way that this becomes connection, this connection point, right? And I live in a place where nature is my foundation, and there's no denying that the nature impacts the way that I show up and the way that my mood is impacted. I'm a Leo sun, and I need sun in my life. It is not a luxury. It is not an option. It is a requirement. And I fully own that, because it is such a part of who I am. And without it, I would be very, very off balance, so to speak. So I feel so blessed to be in a place that the sun shines, and I will never take that for granted. I'm always so thankful that I get to step into the sun, as they say in Dear Evan Hansen, step into the sun. And I think about that every time I step in, because it is a choice. It is a choice. It is a choice. And this illusion of this illusion that we have to do more, be more, all these things, right? Like, we're noticing where that serves and where that no longer serves. And we're arriving to the idea and the deeper truth that, like, we're already it. So if everything is happening in the exact timing that it needs to be happening, how can we trust even deeper that we're on track, that we're on our path, that we know where we're going? We just don't know the way. The way knows the way, but we know where we're headed. We know what's next for us in terms of the grandness. Now, all we have to really practice is our receptivity. Can we receive? What's our relationship with receiving? Can we allow receptivity? The same way of, can I allow myself to receive the medicine of the sun? Can I allow myself to receive the smile from a neighbor? Can I allow myself to receive the connection that comes with all of these people around me, right? Can I let myself be in connection? And as I say, be in connection, be like the bee, right? The hive, the teamwork aspect of everybody is here because everybody is needed, and everybody's, energy and the way that they show up and who they are in terms of their character, but also like their medicine to share with the world. When we exchange conversations with others, we activate others in ways that we may not know, in ways that we may literally show up and be like, oh, I thought everyone was this way. No, sometimes we have this unique medicine to show up for others that we just don't actually know. And we may never quite know the impact we have. But what's really powerful is when we do get those reflections back to be able to notice, that thing that I've been stepping into, that's really empowering for somebody else too. And it also gives us that sense of connection. So, for example, yesterday I shared that like the pain of the past is hard because it's hardwired and it's structured, and we've learned from it and we've learned about it. And it's not required for us to take it into the future. And I had somebody reach out and say that that was life changing and that that changed their perspective that day. The same way that like I could hear a song or, something could be an answered prayer for me, and that other person may never know, right? It's helpful when we give these reflections back, if we have that chance to, because it reminds us, one, of how connected we really are, and also that we do matter and make an impact just by being ourselves. So with this new season of spring, we have new life. The theme really is around being. And if we can let those heavier, denser parts shed, then we make room for what's never been born before, what's never been here before, what's never arrived yet, what hasn't arrived yet. And so even though we know the cycle of, we know what spring brings, well, we've never been to this spring before, we've never arrived here before. And while that can be very abstract and thought-provoking, the invitation is to allow life to surprise you, to allow the limitless possibility, if nothing else, in this moment, to lean in, if nothing else, just in this moment. And when we can allow ourselves to lean in just in this moment, we become infinite possibility. And it happens. And it happens from one moment to the next. So if we compound the limitless possibility with the next limitless possibility, we then get so much reflected back to us. And they come in surprises. They come in messages. They come in happenstance. They come in interactions. They come in when you're on your walk in the forest and you run into somebody that you haven't seen for a while, right? Like there's just so many infinite ways that we can be in so much appreciation for. Yesterday, I went to a celebration for the sacredness of spring, and I was thinking about what I wanted to bring for my offering, for the land, for the earth, for my appreciation of the spring. And I had some dehydrated mushrooms, some oyster mushrooms, some chestnut mushrooms, and they were not going into the bag. And I had the bag on my shoulder and I'm putting them in the bag and I'm putting them in the bag and they're not going into the bag. And I'm thinking to myself, what is happening here? I just like allow myself to be in the frustration. This is not working the way I wanted it to work in this moment. Okay, surrender. Maybe I slow down. Maybe I switch something up. Maybe I breathe, And it was in the moment where I was like going out the door. So heightened moments as these are never accurate either. But I know why I had to slow down. And it was because my timing when I left, I said farewell to my longtime neighbors. They're moving back to England. And I said farewell to them at their going away party, but I knew they were going to be actually leaving that day. And it is because the mushrooms were not going into the bag, whatever that was. I needed those extra moments because when I left, that was my timing where I crossed paths to have that final farewell. And so with moments like that, I'm learning to pause and to be like, yes, I am exactly where I need to be. But it's about the balance too, because you can't overthink it or underthink it. You just have to be present with it. And that's why this life is so dynamic, is if you allow yourself to be led, you will always be shown. So because of this, well, speaking for myself, because of this, I'm learning how to become non-attached, right? I grew up in a family system that was very attached to things. And then as a result, I became attached to things. I became attached to moments. I became attached to memories. And I am learning that it is safe to let these things go, because I am learning that the best is yet to come, even though the best has already happened and the best is happening again, because I had this belief that it will never get better than that. So I must hold on, I must grip, I must search, I must find. And that was keeping me stuck. That was keeping me in that restriction. And as I learned that it is safe to let go, that it is safe to flow, that it is safe to allow myself to be truly led from moment to moment, and to allow any feeling to be felt, whether it is frustration, right? Oh, these mushrooms are not going into the bag, right? I allow myself to feel all of it. I do not avoid it. I allow myself to feel all of it, because that is the medicine. That is the magic. And so whether it is this non-attachment, whether it is to things, which may seem simpler, we just bring meaning to it, or whether it's relationships, right? How can we appreciate, no matter what the thing is or the dynamic is, how can we appreciate what is for what it is and not for what it isn't? How can we appreciate what is? So, meaning, how can we value the truth of what is occurring? How can we embrace what is true and real and in front of us in this moment? How can we, and stick with me, how can we allow what is to be and not have any attachments of how we wish it were or wish it was, but rather allow it to be exactly as it is, because that's exactly what it needed to be. We have lessons in all kinds of dynamics and all kinds of lengths of relationships. So whether a relationship is a moment, whether a connection is a lifetime, whether a commitment is a week, right? Like however long the journey does not make one connection or interaction or even a smile less than, more than, greater than, right? These are just human judgments that we quantify or try to make sense of. But when you really think about it, they're all potent and powerful in their own right. This is why I love my job so much, because every dynamic is different, teaching me, amplifying the world, every aspect of life. So as you're clearing room for spring to usher in, what is it that you are letting go of? Known or unknown? What are you making room with? How are you creating space? I want you to reflect on that. And happy spring equinox. I'm so glad that it is here. Any other storms we have will be spring storms. Any more snow will be spring snow. And I am so excited for this cycle. I know winter is heavier, denser, darker, and it is the time to lighten up and to become more open and to bloom and to be the butterfly. So spread those wings, take your time, and go at your own pace. You are exactly where you need to be. And remember, the way knows the way. You don't have to know the way knows the way. You don't have to plan the way, trust the way, feel your way. The way knows, the way knows, the way knows the way. So just let yourself sink into that, knowing that the way already knows, and deepening your trust more than you've ever have. That is the invitation, my friends. And I will see you in the next episode. Toodles.